In what appears to be a highly advanced civilization in outer space, two alien creatures stand inside a massive spacecraft. The interior of the ship is vast and complex, filled with structures and systems that suggest technology far beyond human understanding. One of the aliens carefully removes a strange object from the craft, an object that resembles a miniature universe contained within a small sphere. Holding it with great precision, the alien then releases a mysterious signal from his head toward the tiny universe. The energy travels outward from him and moves through space, heading directly toward the small cosmic object he has taken from the ship. Thomas suddenly wakes from a nightmare as his mother urgently calls his name, trying to bring him back to reality. She gently reassures him that it was only a bad dream and tells him that he is safe now because she is right there beside him. Concerned, she asks if he saw the vision again and whether it was the same one that keeps returning.
It's just a dream, son. It's okay. I'm here now.
Thomas admits that it was, explaining that he does not understand why these visions keep coming to him. He tells her that every time he falls asleep, he feels as if he is trapped in the same place, reliving the same frightening experience again and again. His mother calmly comforts him, promising that everything will be all right and assuring him that they will get through this together.
It's gonna be all right, son. We will get through this.
Meanwhile, the object traveling through space eventually reaches one of the floating space rocks. As it makes contact, it injects an unknown substance into the rock. The moment this happens, the rock begins to react and slowly changes its movement. What was once drifting aimlessly through space now starts traveling in a clear and deliberate direction. Gradually, the space rock adjusts its path, begins moving toward Earth, and eventually falls into a lake in Chelyabinsk, Russia. Elsewhere in Berlin, Germany, Thomas sits quietly while listening to a news broadcast and reflecting on his own life. He explains that psychiatrists have never been able to find anything wrong with him. They treated him for 6 months, but when the money ran out, the treatment ended, and he was simply sent home. Despite everything, the dreams never stopped. Thomas feels certain that something is wrong, and he has the unsettling sense that whatever it is has already reached him.
They kept me for 6 months. Then we ran out of money.
The news report discusses residents in the Chelyabinsk region of Russia's Ural Mountains, where 6 meteors were recently discovered along the shore of a lake. According to the Russian Academy of Sciences, the meteor weighed around 10 tons and entered Earth's atmosphere at a hypersonic speed of at least 54,000 kilometers per hour before shattering into pieces about 50 kilometers above the ground. One Russian politician even claims that the event was not a meteor shower, but a secret weapons test conducted by the United States.
So the event was not a meteor shower, but a US weapons test.
Thomas then reflects on a strange feeling he has always lived with. He often feels as if he exists in 2 places at the same time. The sensation frightens him, yet he has learned to live with it until today. Curious and restless, he begins browsing the internet and eventually comes across a disturbing article stating that after a person dies, the brain can continue to function for more than 10 minutes.
After you die, your brain continues to work for more than 10 minutes.
While browsing through his social media, Thomas suddenly notices something strange. A user named Deep Artilect has left more than 400 comments written entirely in binary code. Curious and confused, he wonders who they are and why they would post messages like this.
400 comments from Deep Artilect.
After translating one of the binary comments, Thomas realizes that it contains a prediction of the meteorite that landed earlier that day. The message was posted in 2011, yet it describes an event that happened in 2013. Shocked by the discovery, he struggles to understand how someone could predict something so precisely 2 years before it occurred.
In 2011, predicts something that happened in 2013.
Convinced there must be more hidden in the messages, Thomas begins translating the rest of the binary posts. As he works through them, he discovers that many past disasters were predicted in the same way long before they actually happened. He carefully maps out the events on a board, organizing the dates and details, and even finds several predictions that point to disasters that have not yet happened.
Is this some kind of glitch?
Realizing that these messages have been appearing for years, he begins to suspect that something far stranger is happening. It feels almost like a glitch in reality. The more he tries to connect the clues and patterns, the more confused he becomes. Instead of answers, each discovery only raises more questions, and Thomas realizes that he now needs to find the truth behind it all.
Are they reporting from the future?
Thomas decides to contact the mysterious account and sends a direct message asking who they are. The reply comes almost immediately. The account claims to be a friend from the future. Confused but intrigued, Thomas asks what year they are from, and the response is simple yet unsettling: 2039. The account then tells him that they have left him a gift. When Thomas asks what kind of gift it is, they send him a set of coordinates.
What gift?
Driven by curiosity and the growing feeling that something important is unfolding, Thomas decides to follow the location. The coordinates lead him through a forest that he suddenly recognizes from one of his earlier dreams, making the experience even more disturbing. As he continues following the path, he eventually reaches the city and finally arrives at what appears to be an abandoned building, standing silent and forgotten as if it has been left untouched for years.
I feel like I've been here before.
Thomas proceeds inside and carefully moves through the old worn structure of the building. The place feels empty and abandoned, with dust covering the floors and walls that show years of neglect. As he walks deeper into the building, he notices a faint flickering light coming from one of the rooms. Curious, he slowly enters the room and begins looking around. On the wall, he sees several strange posters displaying detailed diagrams of the human brain, filled with notes and markings that suggest complex research. While examining the room, he eventually finds a note that reads, "Place the electrodes on your head and let technology do the rest." Thomas hesitates for a moment as he studies the equipment nearby. The devices look old and worn, and at first glance they do not even seem functional. Despite his doubts, curiosity, and the need for answers push him forward, and after a brief pause, he finally places the headgear onto his head. As soon as Thomas places the headgear on his head, the equipment suddenly activates and begins to function. His body starts shaking violently as the machine surges with energy. The sensation overwhelms him, and within moments his surroundings begin to fade away. When he regains awareness, he finds himself standing in what appears to be a simulated world on Mars in the year 2390. The environment feels real, yet strangely artificial. A doctor greets him calmly and welcomes him by name, which immediately confuses Thomas. The doctor reassures him and explains that Thomas is still physically in the same place he was 10 minutes earlier, but his consciousness has been temporarily transferred. He then reveals something far more disturbing. In about 5 hours, Thomas will be transferred permanently into a new body. The body once belonged to a man named Albert Kane, and when the transfer happens, all of Thomas's memories, experiences, and identity will be erased.
Don't worry, Thomas. You're still where you were 10 minutes ago. Experiences and memories, they'll all be gone.
Shocked, Thomas struggles to understand what is happening, but the doctor explains that the process does not move a physical body through time. Instead, it transfers the energy of life itself, the mental power, the strength, and the ability to control every muscle and movement of the human body. Once the transfer is complete, Albert Kane's memories and personality will be restored, and Thomas's purpose will be fulfilled.
Re-upload his memories and experiences.
The doctor then reveals the new body that Thomas is meant to inhabit, but Thomas reacts in horror and demands to know why this is being done to him. The doctor calmly explains that Thomas made this decision himself the moment he chose to solve the puzzle that led him there.
Why are you doing this to me?
He explains that earlier that day, a meteorite struck Russia, and within minutes, someone will discover something extraordinary at the impact site, an alien technology unlike anything humanity has ever encountered. It took nearly 2 centuries for humans to fully understand it, but the device eventually allowed them to transfer life energy from the past in order to resurrect the dead.
Unlike anything humanity has ever seen.
The doctor continues explaining that the universe humans experience is only part of a much larger system that exists within what appears to be a simulation. Every individual possesses a unique numerical code, similar to a barcode, that determines the length of their life. When that barcode expires, the person dies. However, if the code is transferred into another body, the recipient effectively becomes that person.
Our universe is part of a larger universe.
Thomas asks if he was deliberately chosen, but the doctor tells him that no one selected him specifically. Anyone could have connected themselves to the system, yet once someone plugs into the network, there is no way to return. It is a one-way process. Once connected, the system can send a person to any time and any place required. With unsettling calmness, the doctor ends the explanation by thanking Thomas for his service.
There's no turning back. This is a one-way trip.
Hearing the truth fills Thomas with rage. Overwhelmed by anger and desperation, he lunges at the doctor and grabs him by the neck, trying to strangle him. At that same moment back on Earth, technicians from Neurotech Industries notice the violent reaction in his body and immediately sedate him to stop the disturbance. Once he is restrained, the consciousness transfer process resumes without interruption. The procedure successfully completes, transferring Thomas's consciousness into the body of Albert Kane, while his original identity is erased as planned.
Consciousness transfer has been resumed.
Soon after, a shocking truth is revealed. The doctor who spoke with Thomas inside the simulated environment on Mars was never truly human. The figure posing as the doctor was actually one of the extraterrestrial beings seen at the beginning, the same entity that observed the universe and sent the mysterious object across space that set everything in motion. Elsewhere in dimension BR326 in Berlin, Germany, another version of Thomas continues researching the strange phenomenon of consciousness transfer. As he studies the technology and the patterns behind it, he begins to understand more about what happened. Reflecting on the strange feeling that has followed him throughout his life, he realizes that he has always existed in different places at once.
They may have destroyed a part of me, but not everything.
Even though part of him was taken and destroyed through the transfer, not all of him was erased. The remaining part of his consciousness still understands the alien system, their technology, and the rules that control it. With quiet determination, he declares that they may have taken part of him, but they did not destroy everything. Now that he understands how they operate, and he is going to go after them.
And now, I'm coming for them.